have been in a birthing room? Yeah, a lot of you. How many of you are just okay never having that experience? I kind of feel like that this morning because uh, I've had 5, so it's been amazing. I actually love having kids, and I loved being pregnant. That's why you have 5. So we're trying to end the addiction, but um, you have to think, and then you have to raise them. There's that whole part. So and that's been an amazing journey as well. But when you're in any surgery room or any room whatsoever in the hospital, they're gonna wheel in a table. There's gonna be a tray of instruments, and when you're having a baby, you don't much notice, but you do notice in your peripheral that there's shiny sharp things, and you're like, I wonder what that's for. Um, like tools and instruments and suctions, and you're like, so what's that for? And they're like, oh, just in case. And I feel like that this morning. I'm like, okay, I got my house, got a video queued up. Like I literally have my all my stuff laid out, and I don't know exactly what we're going to use this morning, but I do trust the impulse of the Holy Spirit on the inside of me. But this is an us thing. This church is an us thing, not just this message. This is an us thing. Like we're going to go somewhere together and we're going to unpack something, and then all of a sudden by the end of service we're like, oh, by the way, this is a series because we just opened up a lot. So next week we're going to keep going. So I love that we have found a place of flexibility. We believe that the future lends itself to the flexible. We don't believe that rigidity brings out the best in people. We believe that flexibility. Now, not loosey-goosey, I'm a cooked noodle, I don't give a rip about anything. That's not flexibility. Flexibility is like a rubber band. It actually has an original shape that it can be stretched, it can bind things together, but it returns back to its original form. So we have a vision and we have a mission. But without flexibility, you won't have the space to find out who you are. And the last thing that we want to do is box you in. And I believe that many of us have been boxed in somewhere. How many here love the boss who, like, we call him the clipboard leader? They're like, okay, let me just go ahead. Let me see how you perform. And it's like, oh my gosh, I'm like tripping over things. I'm forgetting names because you're being analyzed, and it does something. It suffocates. And you can't find out who you are. The last thing the church needs to be is somebody that boxes you in so you can't find out who you are. This is actually supposed to be the place where there's so much space that you're like, oh, that's not who I am. Oh, wait, that's not who I am. Wait. Man, right here, this spot feels good. We're like, yay, you're getting it. But what if we are a body that has no tolerance for mistakes? What if we are a culture that doesn't want you to act any other way but perfect? Do you see what I'm saying? And so I want to welcome you into space. And that is what it's going to take for you to find your true identity. Can you put up the Donnelly Creed real quick? You're going to need a family mission statement if you don't already have one. I know many of you did. We actually did this at family camp 2 years ago. But you need a mission, okay? And I'm going to tell you why you need a mission. Because you are either going to rally around, in life, you're either going to rally around your feelings. You'll rally around your feelings and your actions, your thoughts, your motives, your schedule, your dreams. All of them will actually be steered by your feelings. If you don't have a mission, you'll rally around your feelings. I'm going to say it again. If you don't have a mission, you will rally around your feelings. Now, I'm not against feelings, but feelings are like 2-year-olds. They can be wonderful and they can be demonic, okay? So, and I feel like I have the right to say that since I've been through a lot of them. My point is it's okay to feel, but they cannot be your God. But Jesus Christ will give you an assignment. He'll give you a mission in life. If you're willing, he will give you a mission in life. We were in Atlantis, oh man, it was probably like maybe 10 years ago. It feels like a really long time ago because 10 years, I guess, is a long time ago. I don't know. I'm one of those people that don't keep track of dates and stuff like that. So it was a while ago. And our kids, we were like just in the hotel room. They're fighting. It's like they're just at each other. And it's just like, how much can a person take? And all the parents said, amen. And, I'm like, this is payback because my sister and I were awful. And so, and so I just was like, okay, stop right now. And up to this point, it's like, okay, you're in trouble. Okay, you're grounded. Okay, you're not going to go to the pool this afternoon. Okay, will you sit right there? Shut your mouth. I said, shut your mouth. I said that. Okay, you're talking. Stop. So all that's happening, and you realize the feelings in the room. It's like one goes up, the other goes up. It's like we are in outer space. We are. There is no anchor for truth at this moment in time. And so, how do you reel it back in? Well, you either stuff it, you get bitter, or you get a Donnelly Creed. And that just came to us in the moment. And I said, okay, we're going to Donnelly Creed right now. And my kids are like, huh, what's that? And I'm like, I don't know, but it feels like we don't know what we're doing or why we're doing it. Because we're at Atlantis, for crying out loud. Like, that's like an upgrade from Disneyland. That's like, I remember, Bob, Hannah, where are you? I don't think Dad's ever gonna let you live this down. But she was like, I got to go to that slide, and this is the slide that's like basically straight down at a slight angle, so you don't just fall. And Bob hates water. He hates slides. And Hannah was like, Dad, I want to go up there so bad. Well, as a father, you don't say no. You're like supposed to be, the one that's like, of course we're going on that. So Bob and Hannah get all the way up there, and Bob's version of the story would be better than mine because he would say things that we all go, did he just say that? But I'm pretty sure his swim trunks ended up in places they're not supposed to be. But she was like, I'm not going. She backed all the way back down the thing, And so we have funny memories of Atlantis, but that was one of them that he's like, do you remember the slide, Hannah? So anyway, it's pretty fun. But all that to say, that trip, this came out of. Now, this, like I said, was about 10-ish years ago. And this is now, it became so critical to our family that this is now hanging above our fireplace. Because it is that important, because it anchors us. Now, if you don't have and you're going to have to get a creed, but one of the, we actually did an insertion like a couple years in, and I think it was, I am forgiven, that line. And I had all the kids memorize. And every time they would fight, Hannah could come up here right now and say it without reading it. And I would say, okay, Donnelly Creed. And they'd have to all recite it in the car. And they're like, we are the Donnellys. We love each other. We respect each other. We defend each other. We live for Christ. And I was like, no, you have to own it. So say it again. When I hear that you're owning it, And so when it showed up, like, hey, we had it made over the fireplace, they're like, okay. So they're not as excited about it as us, I don't think. But I can tell you that this has kept me grounded. This has kept me grounded because it's like, hey, guys, I never said you had to be best friends. I never said you had to agree on what you wanted to eat. This doesn't say that you have to actually even like each other. But you do have to defend each other. You do need to respect each other. We're all living for Christ together. This is what we're doing. But I want to point out right now, I know who I am. Because right here, it's a we thing, and then it changes to I am thankful, I am forgiven, I know who I am. And there's a we part of us as a body of Christ right now. And today I want to talk about the I part, which is you. Because as a collective church, we have a mission statement. And it's beautiful. And we have some other statements that God's given us prophetically that are amazing, that we're individually valuable but collectively powerful. We have some things as a body. We are better together, by the way, but we're even better together when you know who you are. And if you know who you are, you will add so much value to the world. You will add so much value to this place. You will add so much value to your children. You will add so much value to your spouse. You will add so much value to your workplace. And you will be HAPPY. If you're looking for happiness, it's finding who you are. And I will be the first one to tell you that that's the most challenging line in the Donnelly Creed for me. And when I say I know who I am, I feel like I'm reciting something that I still don't fully understand. But I am on a journey to understand who's Jenny? Who is Jenny? So it started for me, way before the collective church. But one of the things that hit me that was pretty profound in my life was 9 years ago. Bob and I went to a golf charity event in another state, and a bunch of pastors and leaders and really great people. And he's like, you can go to the spa and I'll golf. I'm like, okay, twist my arm. So we go, and I had up to that point, what you have to understand is up to that point, I am mom at home. No one's like, who are you? I'm mom. I'm needed. They beg me for things. They pull on me, right? And I have a business, and I'm known as a business leader. So I'm very grounded in people know who I am. Does that make sense? So I go to this event, and the weirdest thing happens that I did not see coming, and it was feeling like I was a balloon floating around, feeling completely insecure. And I had not felt like that since maybe sixth grade type of thing. Like, it was the weirdest feeling. And I remember thinking, okay, Bob's golfing, so my binky is off. He's gone. Like, and I remember thinking, how long? How many hours? How many holes? 18? Wow, that is a lot. So, and then sometimes you did a lot more than that, like 36. But I remember thinking, well, what am I going to do? I guess, and the women are by the pool, and I'm like, by the pool, sit down, like awkward, so awkward. And I remember thinking, you didn't even know this was inside of you, that you picked up an identity based on being known by people. But I didn't know that until I got in an environment where no one knew me. And I remember one guy asked me, so are you a pastor? Like, they're trying to figure out, who are you? And I'm like, I'm Hannah's mom, but you don't know Hannah, so that doesn't make any sense right now. And he said, are you a pastor's wife? Like, he was trying to help me. You pastor's wife? And I remember going, no, I'm not. Like, I don't even know what that means. I don't even get that. No, I'm not a pastor's wife. And it was all based on, what do you do? And all these things. And I remember thinking, I don't know who I am. So I'm just going to go to the workout room. So I did that. I just went and worked out, and I made it through. But I told Bob at the end of the trip, I said, hey, listen, I love this ministry that we're a part of, love the people. I'm not going to come back next year. Because I could not find home base. And I love Jesus. I'm spirit-filled. I do ministry at home. I'm pastor as an associate pastor at a church. Do you see what I'm saying? But I got in a context, and that's when the Lord began to speak to me and say, you put a greater importance on who knows you instead of being known by me. I know you. Is that enough? Is it enough that I love you? Is it enough just to wander around this whole beautiful resort just being known by me? Am I enough? And I remember thinking, I guess not, because I've lost. I don't even know who I am, and that was, this creed was written at that point, right before this. So I know who I am became very challenging to me. So the next year, because I'm one of those people that go, okay, that was rallying around my feelings. So, Bob, fine, I'll go with you. And I took myself by the nape of my neck and went with him the next year, even though I said I wasn't going. The next year was like 1% less awkward. And then the third year, you gotta mind you, I went home knowing I don't know who I am. No denial, no, oh, those guys are such cliques. Like, they all sat by the pool and like talked to each other and didn't talk to me. Like, I didn't blame other people's behavior on how I felt. I went home with one conclusion: Jenny doesn't know who she is outside of the things she's known for doing. Because at home, I was the business girl to somebody. To the next person, I'm a pastor. To the next person, I'm a this. To this person, I'm a mom. But you go somewhere where no one gives a crap who you are or what you do, then my foundation of what I do was missing, or who I am. My importance, I couldn't bring significance to the table. It was kind of like, like people looked at me like, and remember, it's my glasses I'm wearing. They don't even see me at this point. They're just having fun. But what I see is people taking these opportunities and going, oh yeah, well, this is because they're this way, and making excuses When in reality, you could do what the Lord asked me to do, and he said to have the courage to be lost and then be found. I was like, I don't even know what that looks like. And so I went home just knowing I don't know who I am as much as I thought. And so I just went to work on my identity, and here I am 10 years later, still, but I'm getting closer and closer and closer. And I would say year number 4, I had a tremendous amount of fun. Bob was still golfing. He wasn't with me, but I was able to be with myself. Or, hey, what's your name? How are you? Where are you from? Like I could just not be doing anything or not invited, or they're sitting at the table eating, and I'm just, hey, I'll sit with you guys. I could do that. It took about 4 years, but that trip became my litmus test, and we've gone every year, and this year will be the 9th year. It's my litmus test. It's the place I go where I cannot deceive myself, because all of you are so kind to me. Jenny, you're so great. I love what you did. Okay, that's good. Now I'm going to go travel over to somebody that people don't give a rip who I am or what I do, and now I'm going to see how I feel about myself. And it took 4 years for me to go, I'm so okay that nobody knows anything about me or that I have anything amazing to offer. And I'm not saying it was easy. So in one Sunday, there's no way you're going to go, oh, I got my full identity. Man, I'm glad I didn't miss church today. This is a journey. And so I want to invite you on the journey to finding your original self. The journey to finding, and we're opening a big can of worms that won't be shut in 20 minutes, 25. When do we end church? We don't have an ending. We just don't. If you say that, it's like a 2 p.m. Okay, yeah. When the piano plays. Okay, so yes or no, is this a picture of the Mona Lisa? This isn't a trick question. Is this a picture? Okay. Yes, it is. Has anybody here been to Paris and seen the real Mona Lisa? Okay, so do you guys remember it's about this size? Do you remember how small it is? Yeah, like a keychain, exactly. So when Bob and I were there with Hannah was there too, and the 3 of us were there, and we beelined into the Louvre, which is this ginormous museum, and people are like looking at the art, and I'm like, I have no idea what that is. Like, no context for this kind of stuff at all. I'm like, I've heard of the Mona Lisa. Let's go there. So, so we beelined to the Mona Lisa, and all these people are crowded in a room, and people are like this and flashing and elbows, and it was pretty crazy because of course it's the Mona Lisa. It wasn't like people were just walking by going, oh, that's cool. I mean, people were packed around it. But then when you go on the streets of Paris, there's T-shirts, postcards, mugs, you name it, sweatshirts. The Mona Lisa is plastered everywhere, but nobody is crowded around anything but the original. This is a picture of the Mona Lisa, but it's not the original. That's what's crazy about being a human being, is you can be operating in a false identity that looks very similar to the original. But this was on Amazon for $13.99. My son looked it up. What was it for do you remember, Hannah, the cost of the Mona Lisa? If you were to buy it, I thought it was way more than that. Yeah, do you remember, Abel? 800, I think it was 800 and something million. Way more than Amazon charges. Okay, why are you guys not like super impressed by my Amazon poster right now? More so than, because honestly, this looks like the original. It's not framed. There you go. Not framed. We could totally, that will preach, by the way. Framed by the word of God. Anyway, I won't go there. Because it's not the original. There's only one Mona Lisa. There's only one, and it is made of material that is not paper like this. It can fold and bend, and it can do all that. But it is not cheap. And it was not cheaply made, and it was made with love and care. This went through a printer, just like the next one did, and the next one did, and this is a duplicate. The original had a creator, had an artist put touches to it. If you don't believe that you are not handcrafted by the Father himself, you will not be able to find who you are. Because he actually took a brush. The Bible talks about it. He says, you're the clay, I'm the potter. He wrapped his hands around you and formed you and put things inside of you, spiritual giftings, things about you that make you very unique. And wow, you're kind of like that person until I do this. And then you're like that person, but you're funnier. But you're like this person, but you're more intelligent. You know, there's things about you that make it so that not a single other person on planet Earth will ever be like you. There's only one you. There's only one original. You want your kids to crowd around you? I do. I want my kids, people are like, oh, they're 18, goodbye. I'm like, I have visions of my kids breaking up my agenda for the rest of my life. I have visions of Hannah blowing through the door with her, 2 kids going, Mom, you have to watch them right now because I gotta go. And whatever I was doing is over. I have visions of my kids like following me. Do you want to know why? Because if I am my original, they actually want to crowd around me. If I'm an original, they actually want to be around me. You want crowds around you? Not for fame and fortune. We're so over that. I'm talking about the ability to affect people on a level that they can feel the heart of the Father. Because only in your original creation is that you've tapped into the love of God so deeply that when people are around you, they feel the love of God from you. They feel strength from you. They feel resolution. They feel they feel grace. They feel mercy. They feel correction. They feel discipline. They feel these qualities that Jesus has because you are being not this Amazon version. You cannot be Amazon primed. And I love Amazon Prime. But you cannot be Amazon Prime. Nothing about you is like anybody else. And you guys have heard this, but the fingerprint thing, there's not a single other person on planet Earth that has your fingerprint and ever will. Isn't that amazing? God proved it in a fingerprint. He didn't have to do that. That was amazing. So how are you going to be your original self? Okay, at this point, we now need to look at false identity. Okay, false identity. I'm going to back up just a little bit. Will you put up the picture of Mercy? Do you have that one? I'm grabbing a different tool here on the table. Okay, that's Mercy. She's 2. This was literally this morning. And Bob's like, don't you have to get ready? And I'm like, I'm just staring at her. How many of you with kids, you could literally just stare at your kids when they're sleeping especially? They're so cute. So I was sitting there next to the bed, and I was just like, Bob, come here. And we were crouched down. And then I realized, man, this is my message right here. And how many verses there are that God said that his eye is on you. That you are actually the apple of his eye. The apple is the focus. It's the focal point. That you are the one. And I'm telling you, when you see this, you can't not stare. I was like, well, I'll be late for church. It's fine. I'm like, oh, I'm preaching. I probably shouldn't do that. This right here was like, I could sit here forever. No wonder God can do that with us. No wonder. I don't look at her and go, well, you did scribble on the floor last week. Which she definitely has been doing. I had to actually think of that right now because not a single negative thought entered my mind. And the Bible actually says that we are evil in our thoughts towards our kids in comparison to the Father for us. So I couldn't even think of anything negative. I'm like, she's so cute. She hit her chin last week, and that's so cute, that little scab coming off. Like everything about it is like I could eat her. I could eat her. Now here's the thing about Mercy. She's number 5. And she grabbed my phone a couple of weeks ago, and the face lock, opened up. Yeah. So there's something similar enough, probably in the ratio of, I don't know how that all works, but where they measure everything. So for right now, as she is right now, she can unlock my phone with her face. Now, let me tell you the profoundness about that. I'm talking about original identity right now. Your original self, you look like your father. And when you look like your father, you can access everything behind the wall. What is everything? Freedom, space, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, self-control, all that. It unlocks. And now she could Google something if she knew how to spell. She could do think about a phone. Think about it's the world. Here you go. And she unlocked it because she looks like her mom, who she came from. Identity, finding your identity is, now you got to hear me on this. Don't miss this. Finding your identity is not about you getting in cahoots with God so that he sees you right. If you've been here for the last 2 weeks, covenant confusion could also be called identity confusion. Because if you're in the performance thing, you're like, okay, I'm going to do better because then I'll look like God. No. Identity is not about how God sees you, because he already sees you like a mini Jenny, like, oh, it looks like me. He already sees you right. God sees you right. Identity is about you seeing you right. That's why you have to find your identity. You have to see you right. How do you see you? Because how you see you is how you're going to act. It's how you're going to think. You're going to think out of that place. You're going to act out of that place. You're going to parent out of that place. So if you see yourself as awful, you're going to act awful. If you see yourself as, a tough guy, you're going to be a tough guy. But when you see that you and Jesus come together, and I'm telling you, I think it's 1 John 17, chapter 17. It's like, I am in you, you're in me, we are one, we're together. It's like Twister. Like it's like an enmeshment of Jesus and us. He says that basically we are blended together. There is no separation between us and him. So he's not going, oh, Raymond, if you'll start that Bible study I've been telling you about, then you will look more like me. No. As soon as Raymond sees, oh man, the Father's in me. I got to tell some people about this. Man, can you come over? Let's meet down the coffee shop. I have 3 guys I want to get together. Let's just talk about Jesus. Let's talk about life. Let's get together. Let's just lift each other up. Let's encourage each other. He's not performing a Bible study. He's doing what his Father would do because his Father's in him. Make sense? And by the way, he's doing that on a major scale. So I just use that as a random example. I want to talk to you about false identity here. Acts 26. 26:12. This really hit me. If you're on the reading plan that we've been posting, it's been really neat. New Testament, 1 year, 1 chapter a day. We're in Acts right now, 26, and 26:12. The Passion Translation. Okay, let me tell you what's going on here. Saul is a bad guy. Okay, this is Paul before he became a Christian. How many of you know that Paul was a super bad dude? Okay, he killed Christians. He put them in prison. He tortured them. He's actually manipulated to make sure that they were found guilty of things in the Jewish community. And then one day he's on the road to Damascus. A light strikes him. Everybody with him, they fall to the ground because the light was so powerful, brighter than the sun, hits them down, and Saul is blinded. Now, in this scripture, he's presented before King Agrippa because the Jewish people have arrested him because they don't like him. Because what happened was when he was hit and he was blinded, Jesus spoke to him while he was blind. And he went from murderer to all over telling people about Jesus for the gospel, okay? So he is standing right now before King Agrippa, basically stating his case, and he's telling him what happened when the light hit him. For that purpose, I went to Damascus with the authority granted to me by the chief priests. While traveling on the road at noon, Your Highness, So he's, being judged right now, and he's stating his case. I saw a light brighter than the sun flashing from heaven all around me, and those who were with me. We all fell to the ground, and this is the part that really struck me, everybody. And I heard a voice speaking to me in Aramaic saying, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? You are only hurting yourself when you resist your calling. I asked, who are you, Lord? And the Lord replied, I am Jesus, the one who you are persecuting, the one you are persecuting. Get up and stand to your feet, for I have appeared to you to reveal your destiny and to commission you as my assistant. You will be a witness to what you have seen and to the things I will reveal whenever I appear to you. I will rescue you from the persecution of your own people and from the hostility of the other nations that I will send to you, and you will open their eyes to their true condition so that they may turn from darkness to light and from the power of Satan to the power of God. By placing their faith in me, they will receive the total forgiveness of sins, hallelujah, and be made holy, taking hold of the inheritance that I give to my children. Isn't it interesting? This guy has been murdering Christians. He hasn't done a single thing to love people in Jesus. And Jesus says, hold on. Okay. You're in your wrong identity. Ready? Okay, 3 days, blind. And then he's blinded, basically halted, and Jesus says, you're only hurting yourself by not answering the call, and I've called you to be my assistant. And he comes out of it after 3 days, and he changes the world. And he's on the other side of this equation, going and telling people about Jesus. This is a perfect picture of somebody who is operating their false identity and fire against Christians. Amazon Prime. Looks very much like the original. 2, over here, fire for Jesus. The true original. But without an encounter, can you find who you really are? Without a love encounter, can you really, really find your true self? Okay, let me show you a couple of things. I have a little demonstration we're going to do live, and then we're going to have to finish next week. Okay, this is a demonstration of our false identity inside of us. False identity. Our false identity actually lives in a little house on the inside of us. The Bible actually talks about houses, about taking the strong man, about taking, spirits that live inside people. I didn't make that up. Don't get mad at me. It's in the Bible. And they live in houses, and it says they live in a false identity. Now, that doesn't mean that just because I am sometimes in a false identity that I'm always being a fraud. Does that make sense? If you wouldn't be here if you were not somewhat tapped into your true identity, okay? But there are times that we react and respond from our little house of lies that we live in. Okay, this is a dark house of lies, and it was built when we were children. Okay, it was built when we were kids based on our upbringing, based on just the fact that the devil's mean, and he says mean stuff, based on trauma, based on things. And so all of us, including myself, have little places in us that are not really our original self. Okay? Now, this is a house of lies. I'm going to show you these right here. Now, I sat down with my daughter, Esther, and she's 10, and I asked her with permission to share this. And she said yes. So here we are. But inside of here are words written. These are lies that the enemy goes right here, gets that in your brain. He's the accuser of the brethren. Bing, 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 bing. If you could see in the spirit realm, I'm telling you, has a thought ever hit you and you're like, oh, telling you, there's a spiritual battle going on. And this is a lie, okay? There's different things here. Okay, these are lies, and these are like the boards that he makes to block you in and block the light. Okay, here's this one. Let's look at this one. No one likes you. I asked Esther, what are the lies? Now, she's 10 years old. She's been raised in a family with a creed. Hello. With pastors, with Jesus, church every Sunday. We pray together. We we talk about spiritual things. She's greatly loved. And I said, could you name some things what whispers do you hear that don't sound very nice? Because your Father in heaven is really nice and he's always in a good mood. So what things do you hear that make you feel bad about yourself? And she said, okay. She said, well, no one likes you. And I said, okay. So I put this here and I said, now, Esther, when do you hear that? And she goes, when I'm playing with my friends. It doesn't even have to be like this big, traumatic deal, because the enemy doesn't have to wait for trauma. He just waits for you to be alive. No one likes you. See, so now there's less light. Okay, so this is the house of lies. That's why it's black. It has a chimney, because when you're living in this place and speaking and behaving from this house of lies, you're blowing smoke. You're blowing smoke. So if you ever go, why did I yell at my kids? Well, you're in your false identity. It's okay, that happens. But what we have to do is just begin that journey of tearing down this house. Okay, let's go to the next one. You're a failure. You're a failure. And I said, okay, when did you hear this one? And she said, well, when we have to do math quizzes and all my friends get better in math than me. I get the lowest grade than my friends. And I was like, okay. You're invisible. Now, this is what's interesting. This one, she said, she was in a dance performing team, and there's like tons of dancers at the convention center. You know, they're all running around, and she said that she would look at all these dancers, and they're practicing in the halls, and in there, and she would just see all these dancers, and she would hear, you're invisible. No one sees you. Okay? And I go, well, isn't that funny? Because you had a solo. She was on stage with a solo. No one sees you. And she goes, yeah, but Mom, that's when I heard, this little guy over here, that's when I heard you're alone. I get on that stage by myself. She's an amazing dancer, and she would hear, you're so alone right now. Right. That's a good sound effect coming from there. It's like those guys are queued up. I think Sam has that all prepared. And you're not beautiful. And if you've ever seen Esther, she's very beautiful. You're not beautiful. So I said, when do you hear that? And she said, when I'm getting ready for school in the morning. So and it wasn't hard for her to tell me any of these. She came up with them really fast. And I said, so what do you think about it? And I didn't even have to get into this question, but she goes, but Mom, I don't believe any of this. This is so dumb. And I said, okay, so but what we have to do is there's a part of us that goes, that's ridiculous. And then there's a part of us that's like, why does that feel real? Why do I feel like that? So if I go to school going, you're not beautiful, well, that's dumb. And then she goes and sees her friends, and she's like, oh, I don't feel beautiful. My friends are so pretty, and wow. She's so much skinnier than me. Maybe I could get skinnier. Maybe I'll just not eat dinner tonight. Do you see? Do you see how subtle, how sneaky this is? And it's and usually the devil doesn't bum rush people. He doesn't just, wah! He just a little bit, one at a time, so that you just go, oh, well, yeah, you're right. I remember I didn't think I was ugly until my friend in third grade, we were sitting in a pickup truck looking in a rearview mirror. We were kind of looking at ourselves in the rearview mirror, and she goes, you have a big forehead. And I looked in the mirror, and I go, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that. And at that point forward, I was like, I guess I'm ugly. And she goes, and she said, and you guys are so poor. Because my mom was a single mom. And I'm like, I'm poor too? Like, I didn't even know we were poor. Turns out we were. But my mom never told us that. I mean, you look back at the house we lived in now, I was like, oh yeah, we were poor. But this friend, I won't name her. So is my own self. I forget. But she told me two things, and she's just being a little kid. Third grade, right? Third grade. So, felt pretty harmless. But there's nobody that's going to escape these lies, right? So, next week, if you guys don't mind, I have an exercise. I wanted to get to it today, but I want to set right here. But what we're going to do next week is I'm going to have some people who are extremely brave and humble enough to come up here and tell us what they've been hearing. if that's okay with the people I asked. Okay, part 2. And I want to talk about this, and then what do we do? Because Esther and I went through every one of those and found what God says about that. Okay, what does God say about that? What does God say about that? What does God say about that? Because you know what? If we don't, putting your nose in the Bible and reading is not about being spiritually elite. It's not about, look, God, look at me. Look at me. Do I look more like Paul, not like Saul by doing this? No, Saul already looked like Paul when he was killing Christians. But God just had to get him aligned with that identity. But the reason we get in the Bible is because these arrows have to hit our heart and our mind, and you have to brainwash from the little girl that told you something when you're little. And we take people through sozo appointments, we take people to prayer, and they're like, and people are bawling, they're like, this is so dumb. And we're like, it's not dumb. And it's like, my friend told me my shoes were ugly when I was in 6th grade. And we're crying and we're like, we know. My forehead, it's all, I get it, you know. But the deal is that we don't escape this earth without the enemy trying to convince you that you're something different than what you are. And so now I was bullied when I was in 6th grade. So right now I'm actually in the process of tearing down a false identity in myself that says I have to defend myself. Because I realized, and I've said this before even to my kids, but like, okay, you're bullying me. You know, and they're like in hot pursuit of what they want. I'm like, you're bullying me. And Hannah's like, Mom, do you know what a bully actually is? And I'm like, but you're bullying me. This is a form of bullying. And through a dream interpreter, a guy that's helped me out, actually a counselor, and through my own dreams, a house was identified in me. Completely never connected it, but I was bullied in 6th grade. And my sister, who protected me, went to junior high, and I was still in elementary school. So as soon as she left, she beat people up for me. I just would like cry and hide, but my sister was tough, man. So she left because she had to move on, and I got bullied the year that she wasn't there. Bullied bad, physically bullied. And I just, you kind of live your life going, well, that's fine. It made me better, and I forgive them. We actually hung out in high school, all these guys, but they popped my tires in my car. They came, pulled my pants down. They grabbed my shoes, threw them in the canal. I cried every single day. My teacher got so sick of me crying. He's like, okay, Jenny, because people became numb to me because I was so emotionally broken. But as an adult, I've revisited a lot of memories, okay? But that one is the next one. I'm like, oh, fun, more. But the problem with it is it affects how I parent. I'm going to be 45 this year. And in 6th grade, I had to learn to defend myself. So I have these colored glasses on that say, I'm being bullied. And some of you that know me really well, you're like, oh, that's what we saw come out. Yeah. Because because this is still here, if this hasn't been torn down. So how do I know that it's being torn down when I don't feel like I have to defend myself? When I can just be in your presence and you can say whatever and I don't feel like you're attacking me. Does that make sense? So we operate out in our false self based on just things. And this is a lifelong work, by the way. I'll probably find more stuff when I'm 98 and just go, oh man, with 97, this would have been really helpful to know this, So, but let's continue next week because I want you guys to be thinking about what are your little planks. It's your fault. Hey, let me end with this. This is fun. It's your fault. This is the one that I identified that was mine. It's your fault. It's your fault. You could have done something. If people are sad over here, you probably could have done something. You probably were the one to make that happen. And by the way, that's probably product of divorce. Okay? But things feel like my fault. And people are like, how can that be your fault? I'm like, I don't know. It just is my fault. Okay? So Havilah Covington was at Generation Unleashed, and Hannah went to it. And she talked about lies and truth. Because truth is the only thing that tears this down, by the way. Okay? That's the Word of God. We're going to go there next week. But Hannah, and I didn't even tell her this, but Hannah said this is the one that she could identify with. And I was like, that's a generational lie. That's generational. So that thing is just sneaking down the bloodline, sneaking right down the bloodline. And so that's what, and we just pray in the car, we break that in the name of Jesus. But you guys, while I was making this on the porch, spray painting it, 3 weeks ago, my dog kept running in and out of the house, and I was like, get back in, get back in. Not my dog, it's Hannah's dog. And Annie kept running in and out of the house. And anyway, Bob found her at midnight. She'd been hit by a car. And it was awful. Of course, anybody that's ever lost a pet, you know how awful that is. Guess what the first thing I hear? Well, the first thing I hear is Hannah's going to be so sad. This is terrible. The second thing I hear is it's your fault. As I'm making the house of lies, the lie itself said, well, remember, because you opened the door and you probably didn't catch her one of the times you went in and out. And so she ran out and you weren't paying attention, so that's why she's dead. I mean, that's how relentless the devil is. But here's the thing. Here, let's take this down. I feel like we shouldn't do worship with this in front. Just really don't want that up here anymore. And the foundation of it is fear. It's all built on fear, being afraid. Listen, even though the enemy is relentless, there is a relentless God inside of you. And the power of the Holy Ghost is far more relentless than the enemy is. He has far more endurance than the enemy has. And what I know, sometimes my only strategy is to outlast the enemy. And I hope that you feel encouraged to find your true self. But it is a journey, and it is only a journey that you can go on with God. Amen? Okay, so we're going to worship together. Can we take this down? Is that best for you? Okay. Awesome. Let's go ahead and stand to our feet. We just thank you, Jesus. We thank you, Father, for uncovering our original self. You know the picture I'm getting right now? The picture I'm getting right now is if you were at an art exhibit, and it's like one of those, I've never been to one, but I've seen it in the movies maybe, like $1 million painting or whatever, and they have like a big sheet, it wouldn't be a sheet, it'd be a very nice black cover, and it's like they reveal the beautiful, beautiful, original whatever. I just saw that. I just saw that right now. I saw that is a desperate cry of the Father to say, hey, Linda, do you want to see yourself? Are you ready? Okay, it's going to kind of blow you away. It's going to blow you away. When I got a hold of this, I actually saw a different person in the mirror. It actually changed what I saw. My physical features actually changed in my own eyes. I mean, that's how powerful this is. So powerful. So God, I thank you that you are the one who does the miracle work. We're not the one that has to find anything. What we have to do is be open. We have to be honest. We have to just say, you know what, God, you are so good and you're so loving. And you stare at us just the same way that we can stare at our babies. You stare at us with such an affection, God. And Father, I just know that the affection that God has for you, as you allow it to penetrate you, as you allow it to be real and tangible, like allow the love of God just to come over you right now. You can't help but look like him. You can't help that love. It digs up the finest, original treasure inside of you. And we thank you for doing that, God, and we trust you. We trust you, and we thank you in Jesus'